After suffering back-to-back defeats to Alexander Usyk, where next for the former unified heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua? Let's talk about it here on BWTM Sports. Don't go anywhere. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports once again. Let's talk Anthony Joshua, the Inquest. What's happened since the back-to-back defeats to Alexander Usyk? I'm not going to say too much in terms of my thinking long term, because I don't want to raise any alarm bells, but it's no secret the love that I have for this sport of boxing. And you know, I've been fortunate to have been around some top trainers: James Ellerby, Abel Sanchez, Peter Fury, Derek James, Andy Gill, Tony Cisse. The list goes on and on. Tommy Brooks. There's been a lot of trainers I've been around, and being able to watch Peter Fury, obviously watch up close, being able to watch Peter Fury up close, being able to watch James Ellerby up close in camps. I've been around a lot of good boxing people for a good while now, almost 10 years plus, not only to mention my own time in boxing, people like Barry Jones, his former gym mate, Ronnie Rush, my former trainer, Reefer, trainer of Mark Reefer, his father. So many good boxing people, very thankful and grateful to them. West Town Boxing Gym, Chris Eubanks Sr., Ronnie Davis. So I've been blessed with an abundance of boxing brains and boxing people that know the sport, that live and breathe the sport. And I've been thanked Bermain Stavern, former heavyweight champion of the world, talking to people like Tyson Fury, and the list goes on and on and on. He even had the honor of getting Muhammad Ali's brother to ring me and talk to me and to do an exclusive interview with him. And I take these opportunities, not just for interviews, but to learn about a sport that I love so much. And through the years, I've got some predictions wrong, but I think more and more as the years have gone on, I've kind of got closer and closer to how this sport is moving to managerial wise and key decisions being made for big fights. And so now, with this Anthony Joshua fight, let me stop a second and let's see what people are saying in the room. Greetings, Shook. Right. With this now, here's where I'm going to put myself in the role of consultant for Anthony Joshua. So if I were a consultant for Anthony Joshua at this point in time, what would I do? Well, first and foremost, the first question I would ask Anthony Joshua is, what exactly do you want? Do you actually want to become heavyweight champion of the world again? Has retirement been a serious thought in your mindset? You said in the build-up to the second fight with Alexander Usyk, you were having sleepless nights or you were in a sleep ring, to me, that was a crying out for help, but you didn't know how to go about it. And I would ask myself, what do you want from the sport? So, Anthony, what do you want from the sport? One, what do you want from the sport? And B, after what you want, if you want to become heavyweight champion of the world again, are you willing to listen? Are you willing to listen and follow instructions from people who know more than you in the sport? Are you willing to immerse yourself around knowledgeable, qualified, proven, experienced boxing people? People who have a track record for success. People who have a track record for knowing what it takes to get you to the next level in heavyweight boxing. Not guess men, not chances, not good talkers, but people, when you sit down and you listen to them in a corner, are talking sense. People are not going to leave you out to dry when it gets a bit tough. People are going to sit down and tell you as it is, not as you like it. And the reality is, the fact of the matter is, now for you, and for a long time I've said it, you've been around a lot of people who have told you as you like it rather than as it is. So imagine me having this conversation with Anthony Joshua. You have been around people who've told you things that you want to hear rather than things that you need to know. And there's a difference. If I tell you things that you want to hear, I'm more likely to get your approval. If I tell you things that you need to hear, I'm not looking for your approval. I'm not looking for your yes. I'm looking to see that you're willing to make the necessary changes to become a champion. So what you've done previously as a champion does not cut it at the elite level. At this point, I would be saying to Anthony Joshua, you've got nothing to lose because you've more or less lost everything of making some very poor decisions. Now, the first poor decision you made, let's go back, was the Andy Ruiz fight. The Andy Ruiz fight. Sitting here, I remember telling people, all the people that were kissing up to Anthony Joshua, Anthony's great, you don't need to change him, keep him the way he is. See all those people now? All those people now, they're gone. They're either on the Usyk train now, or the Tyson Fury train, or they're telling you now, you should have thrown more punches. When you were still an unbeaten fighter, I was saying, you need to leave Matchroom, you need to change your trainer. Lennox Lewis warned you and said, you can't have a school teacher doing a master's job. Or something along them lines. He warned you, Anthony, and he said to you, this is where the problem lies. One of the problems lie. When you have a man, former undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, he must have some things right. You call that guy a clown. But the guys you have in the corner, you didn't call them clowns. The guy that was telling you to double up a jab or triple up a jab and for a right hook to Alexander Usyk was not a clown. The guy that was allowing you to lay your hands up on the ropes, and not allowing to get oxygen back into your body was not considered a clown. But the former undisputed heavyweight champion of the world is considered a clown. It tells me that there's a warped sense of reality as to what is actual substance and what is hype. Lewis is substance in terms of his experience of being a heavyweight champion of the world, in terms of him crossing over to America and dominating the heavyweight scene over there, beating their best. So he made it a crossover. He went from the UK to America, made the change, got knocked out by Oliver McCall, brought in the best trainer, Emmanuel Stewart, and came back and beat McCall. Went on to become undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. You get beat, and who do you bring into your corner? You see the difference? To me, I would want you immersed around boxing people. Immersed around only boxing people. Now, hangers on, not people who are in it for the limelight, put them to one side. Boxing people. The current team you've got now, you need to scrap them. Fernandez, Garcia, gone. Out the door. Garcia was a chancer. There was nothing in his resume that said heavyweight champion quality. No. There was nothing in his resume that said, this guy could take me to the heavyweight championship world and win the heavyweight championship world. There was nothing there. The one guy he trained at the heavyweight was a journeyman heavyweight. Why the hell would you go to him? Why would you go to him and have him as your trainer? That just shows me a lack of quality in thinking and a lack of quality decisions. So how are you going to get quality outcome? And you got these guys saying, we know what we're doing. Yep. You both know what you were doing. Fernandez and Garcia knew exactly what they were doing. And they were doing exactly what you got. You not being good enough to become three-time heavyweight champion of the world. Think about that. Talk about killer mindset and military mindset and putting stuff on your shorts. Then you make a clown-like decision by bringing in Robert Garcia when you have access to the guy that trained Alexander Usyk from his pro career to becoming cruiserweight champion of the world. You have access to him. You have a heavyweight guru in your grasp, a man that was the right hand to Emmanuel Stewart. You said you studied boxing, but your decisions don't reflect that. Your decisions are based off some lucky pot, stick your hand in a jar with a bunch of names and put one hand out, put one hand in, close your eyes and say, right, take a pick. Oh, this paper feels nice. Oh, Robert Garcia. Because otherwise, what was his criteria coming in to becoming the trainer? In fact, what was the criteria for Angel Fernandez to be the trainer? There was no resume to say, well, Angel Fernandez, I don't understand it. And then Angel Fernandez is responsible for picking the guy because it makes Angel Fernandez feel comfortable. Who the hell is he? Who the hell is Angel Fernandez? Yeah, things have to be called for what they are. Yeah, but he's training some other fighters. I don't care. They're not fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world. Plain and simple. They're not fighting the heavyweight championship. They're not fighting the elite. And Usyk is elite. Usyk is elite. So you have to have an elite mindset. not a killer mindset, an elite mindset. But you have like supermarket sweep mindset because just the decisions you're making, trash decisions. And you talk about mental, you're going to get the job done. How the hell are you going to get the job done with this team? That makes sense. You need to get rid of Fernandez and Garcia. Out. Chances gone. Both of them are chances. They've got to go. Now, who would I bring into camp? Who would I bring into your corner? Two guys that come up straight away in my mindset. The first one would be James Ali-Bashir, but I have reservations about that. Two things. First of all, if you really believed in James Ali-Bashir, Uncle James Ali-Bashir, you would have selected him. You would have said, I want that guy to be my man. I want that guy to be my man. But you didn't value James Ali-Bashir. You did not value Uncle James Ali-Bashir. You didn't. You didn't value him. Your team didn't value him. Your corner didn't value him. Your management didn't value him. You didn't. Because the decision you made was insulting to a man of his caliber, to a man of his ability. So let's put that to one side a second. So James Ali-Bashir would be the go-to man. He would have been the go-to man. Put that to one side a second. But the guy I think that will do you the world of good now, and this is a surprise name for a lot of people, Mark Tibbs. What? Mark Tibbs? Yes. Yes. At this stage of your career, you wouldn't be going with a chance of Mark Tibbs. You'd be going with a guy who knows his boxing. I believe that Anthony Joshua is a better fighter at home than away. So I think that I would have him at home in a gym where he's got a guy that's experienced, that knows his boxing, that is from the UK, and won't take any crap. And will be able to give Joshua that technical balance that he needs, plus cut across all that crap, and is more of a McCracken type figure in that sense. I don't think, I think James Ali-Bashir is best for him. But when I look at what he did with Dillian White, you look at what Mark Tibbs had done with Dillian White and that run for him to become number one contender, and the guys that White was having to fight and to beat on that road, if you remember rightly. Mark Tibbs, when Dillian White was at his best, was up there as a trainer in the UK. And I think that for Joshua at home, Mark Tibbs would be a good fit. I really do. Tibbs has got his own gym, so he can kind of control that situation. He would have a better handle of the media. He would have a better handle of the decisions Joshua makes, because I think that he would cut a lot of that nonsense out and would keep him strictly into boxing. You got Mark Tibbs, you got Jimmy Tibbs, family of boxing, and I believe, I don't know, I can't speak on Mark Tibbs in terms of his personal and what fighters have done previously with him, but I think Joshua and Mark Tibbs could be a very good team. Mark Tibbs is level-headed. He knows his box. If you sit down and listen to Mark Tibbs carefully, even he was talking about the Joshua fight. He was talking about the potential Joshua has, and he was talking about how Joshua couldn't even see himself. So the realization of how good you actually are. So Mark Tibbs understands the gap between where Joshua is and where he needs to be. Mark Tibbs would bring you down a slimline Anthony Joshua, quite literally. A slimline Anthony Joshua. None of the hype, man. Brilliant AJ. All that crap would go. Get that one side. And we get strictly back to boxing. Anthony Joshua. Get rid of the AJ. Anthony Joshua. Heavyweight contender. And you rebuild that path to becoming. Look, he even said very basic things like he was saying about how Joshua should throw the jab, should be a ramrod. This is basic things. Basic. Should throw the ramrod jab and have the shoulder here tucked in when he's throwing the jab. Bam. And he's protecting himself for anything coming over to protect the chin. So he's just talking about that, how Joshua should have a ramrod jab. Just that alone. He was talking about how Joshua could keep the jab out there and keep it out there. Like a rangefinder, almost like how Lennox Lewis used to do that. Talk about footwork. Talks about throwing more punches. Talks about how he would throw those more punches. So I believe Mark Tibbs would be the way forward for Anthony Joshua if he's to stay in the UK. But if he's to go to America, then I would severely suggest there'd be James Al-Bashir. If he's going to go to America, I would not have Joshua have Bashir in the UK. I would want Joshua away in America. I would also want Joshua to rebuild his relationship, rebuild that relationship with Lennox Lewis. Now, Lennox Lewis, the fighter, I've got a lot of time for. Lennox Lewis, the man, I don't know. My brief interaction with him wasn't the greatest. And I didn't like the way he acted, you know what I mean? And behaved when I was interacting with him. And you know, I'm sure at some point in time in this life, I'm going to bump into Lennox and we'll be able to have that conversation to clear that up. But as a knowledgeable heavyweight, as a guy that's had Emmanuel Stewart in the corner, like, and just to sit down with Lennox and Bashir, have Lennox on a conference call with Uncle Bashir, and those three talk. You've got Lennox who trained with Emmanuel Stewart. You've got Emmanuel Stewart's right-hand man in James Al-Bashir, and Joshua sitting down and listening to that information, taking that in. I said something a long time ago about Anthony Joshua, and I actually said it about Deontay Wilder, that he needs to have a mentor around him that has got some heavyweight knowledge. So even Mark Tibbs and what he did with Dillian White in the UK is great. But I would like to have seen Joshua go on the road, not going around all them trainers, but actually sitting around and talking around proper boxing people in the heavyweight division. You know, sitting down and talking to George Foreman would be interesting. See what he's got to say. You know, I'm not sure if Anthony Joshua will ever be that guy that will be that menacing, intimidating figure. I think that's gone. That's gone because of the defeats and the way he's been beaten and some of the things that he said and the way he's conceded in fights before fights even like happened. Like, for example, conceding, giving the belts over to Andy Ruiz and posing in photographs with Alexander Usyk. Some of those things he did, the selfies, was unforgivable in that sense, because, you know, it'd be like Mike Tyson coming to the ring dressed as a fairy. That image of Mike coming to the ring dressed as a fairy. You couldn't take Mike, no matter what happened after that, you couldn't take Mike ever seriously that way again. So Josh is going to have to rebuild, but there's those images of that then. So whatever Joshua does to rewrite history, it will have to be so devastating and so telling on the mind that you couldn't go back and look at that again. It really would have to be a remodeling of Joshua, if you understand what I'm saying there, which would not be easy. This is what he says here. Mark Tibbs would look to trim a lot of fat off, so to say. He would. It's extremely important for AJ to have a trainer that's not afraid to tell him, whether it's advising or ordering in camp, there has to be a father figure trainer relationship. Yes. Yes. I think James Uncle Bashir would be best for that. However, if it's in the UK and for UK comfort, I would say Mark Tibbs. On a rebuilding job, Mark Tibbs, why not? If you remember when White got knocked out by Anthony Joshua, it was Mark Tibbs that rebuilt Dillian White. And since, I may just also add, since Mark Tibbs left Dillian White, in my opinion, my humble opinion, White's gone backwards as a fighter. Not the same fighter, he's gone backwards. So that tells you the quality of the trainer that is Mark Tibbs. So I think that relationship might work quite well, Mark Tibbs and Anthony Joshua. But definitely, if Joshua's going to continue his career and he has Robert Garcia in his corner and Angel Fernandez, finito, finish, done. Start preparing yourself to fight for the Southern Area title. You may as well, because that is where it's at. I'm not being disrespectful to the Southern Area, but that's where it's at. You may as well. Or just retire, because it tells me that you're not showing the eye of the tiger. You're not showing that bite, that and stay away from Deontay Wilder. Stay away from Deontay Wilder until you can get some stuff upstairs sorted. Stay away from Deontay Wilder. Stay away from him. Because you don't believe in yourself enough to fight Deontay Wilder. No. That man's going to come out the ring. I don't know how he does against Hellenius. That's another thing altogether. But against you, he'll come charging out against you. And I actually think under a quality trainer, you could beat Wilder. Under a quality trainer, you could beat Wilder. But you'd have to get your jab working better. You'd have to use the jab, physical strength, and push Wilder back. You'd have to push Wilder back to beat him. You couldn't beat Wilder standing in the center of the ring. And you couldn't stand there doing this against Wilder, because Wilder will time you one straight right hand down the middle. Boom, and good night. That's it. I mean, if Usyk's got you rocking, if Usyk's got you rocking and got you disco dancing, imagine what Wilder will do with one of them right hands. So that would be a complete shootout, you and Wilder. So if you're going to go into shootout with Wilder, you need to be best equipped. First equipment you need sorted is your left jab. You need to get that sorted and have full confidence in it and ramming that left jab out. Me, if I'm Anthony Joshua, I'm looking to target a fight against Daniel Dubois and fight for that WBA heavyweight championship of the world. That's what I'm looking to do if I'm Anthony Joshua. I hope he hears me well when I'm saying this. You're getting yourself in that WBA ranking and trying to fight for that WBA title. Yes. Forget WBC. That's going to be all tied up now, and Tyson Fury and Usyk, unless Usyk retires. Go down the WBA route. I said this to Dillian White a long time ago. Go down the WBA route. There's some guys you could fight in that WBA. Actually, matter of fact, let me go down the WBA ratings. Let me go to WBA heavyweight ratings at the moment. And let's see what we can do. If I'm rebuilding AJ. Right. Here we go. I've got a comeback fight for AJ straight away. Hold on a second. I'm just going to bring it up on my screen. bring his WBA ratings up. Let's see what we've got here. Come on. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Share screen. Share screen. Share screen. Let's go. Audio. WBA ratings. Okay, so let's see if we can bring this up here. The screen. Bring myself up. Bring that there. Right. WBA ratings. So let's say now, where would you have? What would you do, Daniel Dubois? Daniel Dubois. I'm talking Anthony Joshua. So for me, on a comeback fight for Anthony Joshua, 3 fighters I would take for Anthony Joshua. I would fight Trevor Bryan, Lucas Brown, Trevor Bryan, and Martin Bakole. They'd be the 3 guys I would look at. Bakole would be the last on that list. Yeah, Bakole would be the last of those fighters to fight. But Bakole still, if it's a good fight, Bakole, AJ, Bakole's just come off the win against Tony Yoka. But Bakole's got zero defense. He's got zero defense. He won't be moving around like a matrix like Usyk. He'll be there to be hit and get hit very hard. Former sparring partner as well, or sparring partner. Nice fight there. But I wouldn't take that Bakole fight straight away. I'd be looking at Lucas Brown or Trevor Bryan. Trevor Bryan or Lucas Brown as comeback fights. Probably Trevor Bryan I would fight. And then they'll realize how horrendous the decision they made to fight Andy Ruiz instead of Trevor Bryan. Trevor Bryan believes he can beat Anthony Joshua. I don't see it somehow after how he did against Daniel Dubois. I'd like to see him fight Trevor Bryan. Absolutely. That would be the comeback fight for me. Trevor Bryan against Anthony Joshua. Comeback fight. I'd even go and take that comeback fight in America because I don't believe that. I don't believe Bryan beats Joshua. No way, no shape, no how. But under a new trainer. Let's see what it says here. And AJ does have the attributes to beat Wilder, but he'd need the best trainer to do it. He would have to avoid Wilder's right hand and his left hook. Something maybe don't talk about. Wilder left hook. Yep. And the type of fighter AJ is, he should be fighting twice a year once he has his team assembled. No less than that and no more than 3. Right. So 3 times a year. So I would like to see Joshua back in the ring against Trevor Bryan or Lucas Brown. They're the 2 guys I want to see him come back in the ring against. Why do I say Lucas Brown? He's a big hitter, but he's slow, lacks defense. In AJ, you will see Lucas Brown's punches coming a mile off. And, he's slow and ponderous. Them type of guys AJ blasts out there. So, Lucas Brown 1. 2, Trevor Bryan. He's another one that he just got knocked out by Daniel Dubois. Sloppy, very, very sloppy. And I just, I think Joshua should take the fight against Bryan. He knocks Bryan out as well. I'm sorry. So those 2 fights would be good. And then, if Dubois is still the champion, I would see Dubois versus Joshua for the summer of next year. If Dubois is still champion, Dubois, Joshua for the heavyweight championship of the world next year. And I think AJ can beat Dubois because but that's going to be based on his trainer. And if he's got someone like Mark Tibbs in his trainer in his corner, or he's got someone like James Ali Bashir, there's some things that are innate, and I just don't think if you back Danny Dubois up and you put it on him, I don't believe he's going to stick around. I just don't. I've just got this feeling about him. He's a bully boy. I believe that he doesn't mind when he's on top, but when you're backing a guy like Dubois up, he doesn't like it. He doesn't know what to do. And I just think that is how I think Joshua could back Dubois up with a nice jab. That's why he needs to go back to school, have someone like Tibbs there, focusing 100% on that, working on his stature, his poise, his foot positioning, his punch combination. But this starts by getting rid of this. The weight on his shoulder. Joshua needs to get rid of a lot of the weight, not the fat. Cut that out. Trim his team down. Slimline team. Slimline. When you've got a slimline team, you've got a slimline mindset. There. Focus. You know what I mean? Not being promotional AJ or this. Just there. Anthony Joshua. That's your name. Anthony Joshua. Go with it. So I don't think Eddie Hearn's a good influence on Anthony Joshua either. I really don't. I never thought he's a good influence on Anthony Joshua. He's a good promoter, but I don't think he's a good influence on Anthony Joshua. I don't. There's an arrogance about that setup, arrogance about them, and you need to be in an environment that is more, for you, conducive, and I don't think it's conducive. Yes, it's made you a lot of money, but it's also made you short in terms of your legacy. So, don't think so. So, before you go changing your team again, you need to take a hard look in the mirror, some soul searching, and ask yourself, what do you want and how you're going to get it? And what does it take to get there? And who can get me there? And who's proven to have that success? That would be my suggestion to Anthony Joshua. Yeah. So if I hated Anthony Joshua, as a lot of people say I do, idiots really who say it, because if they listen to me for a long time, I've wanted to see this guy do the best that he can. And saw the problems coming a long way off, and all those people that supported the bullshit, that supported the crap, that supported the brilliant AJ, that supported all the stuff that's, what's the word, that has rubbed his ego and done him no favors. Those people, all those things, that's done him no favors. You're now the problem. AJ's big and strong. That's not it. Usyk showed it's not about being big and strong. Skill set. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section as always. Yeah, this has been BWTM Sports. Back with you with another one. We're out. Take care.